because I wanted to show some procedures, especially how you can search your research article and how you can use the library resources. So I think we can start. Those who will be joining, they will catch me up later and they can watch the video. So first of all, thank you very much for showing up. And this is literally the last class. I'd say the last class, although we are not meeting in person in class, but this is the last time I'll be available to do office hours next week, of course. So here first, I'll take you to the Blackboard and I'll show you where all the resources are. I sent you a long email yesterday. If you didn't get chance to see that, definitely you can take a quick look and you can ask me questions. So here I know this is a group project and it is hard like to collaborate with each other, especially when we are all living apart. But you definitely can use all those like Word online or some chat features or FaceTime or texting. It's also a part of your learning how you will collaborate with your group mates, how you will do a project together, because when you will start working in real life you have to deal with different type of people, right? I know I receive several emails like sometimes the students are finding this is really difficult and challenging, and some ask me if I can do the project all by myself. But I discourage that one. I say no, try to work with your group and try to contribute equally. I hope no one will be a free rider. So here, if you go to this research project link, you will find every resources that you need to do it here. So I know here we have several topics that we didn't learn in classroom, but some topics are actually very simple. We had some idea like merger or acquisitions. Some topics are difficult like earnings management. We don't have any specific textbook chapter. Still, I would say it's an opportunity to explore those topics, learn those, and then just get an idea how to do a research paper. I know some of you are honors student and you do a full length research project and you do a capstone, but the other students, I don't know how many of you conducted a real research in any of your courses, but it's another part of your learning. So first I would emphasize on this format. I already posted it, so you can just use like different separate paragraphs for each part of that I'm looking for, or you can just use a heading or subheading like this. So it's up to you how you will organize it, but definitely when I will be reading the paper, I will figure it out whether you specifically mention the research question. You discussed what are the reasons that you selected this research question. I mean, rationale. Your abstract is very short. You will see some academic papers sometimes they say that the abstract should be not more than like 150 words. So your abstract will be very short, a quick summary of the paper, and introduction will cover almost everything. So abstract and introduction, the way you will do, just like the headline of a newspaper, hit the main idea directly in your first couple of sentences. So again, abstract, don't make it too long, just make it like 150 or at best 250 words, but you will hit it directly. Okay, in this research paper we are investigating the impact of SOX on accounting fraud, and then you can explain what you found. And I know many of you are most of you are doing qualitative research. I haven't heard from any of the group that doing quantitative. Some semesters some students they do a survey. I don't know if you are doing that. If not, then it will be totally a qualitative research and it will be based on the academic literature. So I will just take a quick look on these topics. I know I definitely will ask specific question related to your topic, but if I take a quick look of all those topics that you are working on, then I definitely will tell you that where to search the literature, how to construct the paper, whether you need to use some real world cases or examples, or just academic paper should suffice. So here I'll go over that, and I'll also ask you questions specifically for each group if you have any specific question. But again, if I go over here, first you should have a short abstract, not more than 150 to 250 words. Again, everything, hit the main idea in the first sentence and explain what you did, what you found, what is your finding. That's the important thing. When a reader will read your abstract, they will know right away that this is the question you try to investigate and this is your findings. Now, table of content, it's a standard format. I know all of you are working Word online, but once you are done with your project, I would suggest someone will take the charge, download the paper, and save it on your computer, and then use some table of contents template in Word document. You will find it, and it actually updates the page number, but make it a standard table of contents format. Now, introduction. So, introduction again, at the very beginning, just start with your research issue, your topic, and in the next sentence, what is your research question. Now, introduction will be an extended version of your abstract. So you will again start with your research question, and then you will explain what you did, what you found, how you collected all this information or articles, and overall at the end, what is the conclusion or main takeaway of this project. Again, abstract is a short version, but introduction will cover everything but in an extended format. Now, one of the important part of your project will be the literature review. So, whatever is your topic, whether it's earnings management or corporate governance or IFRS or GAAP, you definitely need to cite some references from published journal articles. It should be from academic journal articles. What the other researchers are talking about your topic. It's not like Wikipedia, Investopedia, or Yahoo News, or CNBC News. Of course, you can use several resources. Those could also be some resources for your project, but at the same time, I'll find whether you have at least three or maximum five, six citations from research articles, and that's what we mean for literature review. What other researchers did related to your topic and what they found, and that are published in academic journals. And I'll show you in a minute how to search those articles. Again, rationale would be short, maybe a few sentences, that what are the reasons that you are doing research in this area. Well, the area we kind of decided by doing a lottery, if you remember, but the research question, you decided it. So research question is more specific, or it's a very concrete issue within your research area. So your research area is a broad thing. Now you have to narrow down your focus, come up with one hypothesis or one question. Then, in this rational part, you have to show why you decided to work on these questions. And if you decided to work with some examples or cases, especially those who are doing with merger and acquisition, you can pick some recent merger and acquisition case, and you can explain why you decided to pick these cases, why these are interesting, why these are important. And then you should have this part again. After analyzing everything, then you again need to kind of tie up that this is finally is our research question. Now you could write this research question part into two ways. It could be a question directly with a question marks, and the objective of the project is to find out the answer of the question, or it could be a hypothesis format. Hypothesis means you are predicting something. It's just your conjecture, right? You are predicting that IFRS and GAAP will be converged in next 5 years, for example, right? So hypothesis means you are predicting something Then again, you will do the same thing, literature review, what other researchers are talking about, what are the regular cases or examples in real world. And then at the end, you have to decide whether you accept this hypothesis or reject this hypothesis, whether you agree with that statement that you started with or not. So either you could make it a question mark, a question, and then discuss everything, and then at the end mention what is the answer of the question, or you could do it as a hypothesis format, and then after your argument you have to mention whether you accept this hypothesis or not. Now, methodology part, if you do any survey, definitely you can explain what are the questionnaires, how did you conduct the survey. If you use any data, you can mention what are the data sources, but most of you will be doing based on existing literature. So you can just write it down. I use Google Scholars, or I use this business source Premier, or these are the library resources we collected the articles, and this is how we got all of the materials to analyze our research questions. So methodology is just the way you got all those tools and materials to do your research. And then research findings will be directly related to your research question or hypothesis. That means after analyzing all those journal articles or references or real world examples, what is the answer of your question? And whether you get support for your statement or hypothesis. Now, students may have a confusion. What are the differences between research findings and conclusions? Remember, research findings is just the answer of your research question, or just the conclusion, or just the takeaway, what you found after analyzing everything, whether you agree or not with the hypothesis. On the other hand, conclusion will be your own opinion based on your research findings, but it will give some extended directions. For example, this is your research finding, what you could do from here, what the practitioners can learn from your findings, what the regulators or policymakers can take away from your research findings, what could be the future research that you could do. So conclusion should be based on your research findings, but you will give some indications. Of course, what is the contribution of your finding and what other people can learn from your research. And bibliography, this is actually the citation, and we actually follow APA style. And APA, I will also show you what do you mean by APA style. And some of you ask me the questions whether you directly quote them directly within inverted comma quotation marks, or how you will present that. So definitely we will talk about the APA style and citation and library resource. But before that, uh, let me check that if you have any question or anything. Do you have any question? Anyone, you can use the chat box feature. So another thing I probably mentioned, but if not, the length of the paper will be minimum 10 page. You don't need to stretch it too much. Minimum 10 page, double spaced, and use any standard font, Times New Roman, or what you prefer. 1 inch standard margin. 10 pages not too much. You are working 4 or 5 people in a group, right? So you can split the work, but splitting the work is easy, but combining everything, tying up everything, make it consistent is might be difficult. So although you are splitting it up, maybe you are splitting like this way. Okay, I'll do the literature, I'll do the methodology, I'll do the findings, but at the end, make sure that there is a coherence, there is a consistency, there is a rhythm. Writing, different students have different writing styles, but at the end make sure that one paragraph is connected to another paragraph. It does not sound like abrupt. You are talking something different. So please try to read it thoroughly from top to bottom, introduction to conclusion, 10 pages, double space. This is the minimum, but maximum you can make it 15, whatever you need, but at least 10 page, not less than that. And you are not doing any presentation. So all of your gradings will be based on this writing part. So any questions so far? No question. Becca, how are you doing? Tom?
How are you?
Good, I'm good. I hope Mary, I see Kiara, Catherine, Tom. So I hope everyone is good. Okay, so no question. Can I move on? So if I can, then let's see few more things, especially the resources. So again, intro to conclusion. Intro to conclusion will be 10 pages. That means abstract, table of contents, those are excluded from this 10-page limits. And then you will have a citation, that APA format I'll show you. And if you would like to add any graph or picture or anything, you can also attach those any appendix. But pure text should be around 10 pages. So now let me take you here. Again, this research project link, you'll find everything. So first, I'll tell you one more thing. It is group. Am I writing it so that I don't forget anything? So you are doing a group project. So at the end, you just need to do a little task. You have to evaluate each member's contribution. It's very simple, it's confidential, but I'll take a look. It, usually it's good and everyone reflects what everyone is doing, but please do this one. I'll just take a look to see how everyone is contributing, and when I have to do the final grading, maybe that could be scaled based on these group members' evaluation. So here, if you go to this research project link, you will find a small form, and this form actually is in a Word format, and then this form will give you the chance to write down your name and then team number, research topic, and write down your group member's name, and then just rate them from 1 to 5. How did they contribute? Writing, ignore the presentation part because we didn't do presentation. Overall cooperations and collaborations and innovative idea writing. So once you do this evaluation, please upload that one here. I made a submission link here. So just upload that one. It will not take more than a minute. So this you will do at the end once the project will be submitted, because I know you still are working, you still have a week to work. So do it at the end. And for the submission, you all don't need to submit. Only one of each group will submit. Just email the paper. I'm not creating any Blackboard link. Just by April 30th, please email me the paper, PDF or Word format, doesn't matter. And when you will be mailing me, just CC all of your group mates. And then definitely I'll print it out. I prefer printing and then read the paper and then I'll do the grading. Again, it's a group project. Everyone will get almost equal grade, but sometimes I do find this form will give me some indication to do fair judgment. Now, I'll show you the literature review part. I'm emphasizing too much on it because this is really very important. When we do research, we need to see what other people are talking about, what are their findings, and that actually helps us to get some idea where we will be going. Unless you do any research from the scratch, that means collecting the data, doing some statistical test or like laboratory test. Some researchers they do experimental research. That means we can use some students or other people and do some psychological or experimental research. Some students do survey. So here, whatever you are doing, Looking at other researchers' work and articles and papers is really, really important. Now, the simplest way to start is go to Google Scholar. So, scholar.google.com, you can go there and you can just type with your keywords. You will find several articles. But sometimes you will see that you cannot download the entire article. Sometimes it will ask you to pay money. Yes, because these are precious researches and papers, and the publishers actually have their copyright. They will not give you the whole paper. You don't need to read the whole paper, just the abstract of those other papers, or at least just read the introduction if you can. Now if I pick any area, these are the areas that you are doing, right? So here, earnings management or corporate social responsibility, gap, IFRS. So if you just go to scholar.google.com, just type it. It's Google Scholar, not regular Google search. Google Scholar and Google search are different. If you do a regular Google search, it will end up with various like newspaper, blogs, everything. But if you do a Google Scholar search, it will give you the articles, published articles, and then you can type it out. Earnings management, earnings quality, accounting fraud, corporate social responsibility, and then you will find several papers. You can custom the range here if you really want to see only like last 10 years paper, or if you want to see the papers that have that includes citation, because from one paper citation you can find several other papers, right? So here you don't need to read the entire paper. If you see PDF link here, that means you can download the PDF, you can see it. But some papers may not have PDF, so in that case you cannot download it. So you don't need to read the entire paper, just read the abstract or at best the introduction. So get some idea. I say 3 to 5 references, but for that, try to read at least 10 to 15 abstracts or paper. So this is one way just to use the free simple tool that's called Google Scholar. There is another way, that is utilizing our university website, because our university library has access to all those articles. So especially if you see that you cannot download any article from Google Scholar because it's asking money, it's not available, then you can check with the library resource. One advantage of this library research is that everything you will see here, most of the things you can download it, you can view it. Another a little disadvantage is that it will give you huge thousands, millions of material. Sometimes it's overwhelming, it's hard to narrow it down. So how you can use the university library resource? So if you go here, you see this link, search academic article for literature review. If you click here, it will take you to the library website. So what you need to do, it's called lib apps, I embedded it. You can directly go to Sacred Heart Shoe Library link. It's the same way, but it's within Blackboard. Everything is within Blackboard. So you can click view contents. These are the databases that Sacred Heart Library has access. Now we are in library website, but it's too many. You will see that they have all disciplines, all areas. We need to narrow it down. So just click here, business and economics. So business and economics, these are the major databases that relates to business related articles. So I would prefer to use Business Source Premier. This is the robust, and it covers more than, like it says, thousands peer reviewed articles and journals. Another useful source is ABI Inform Complete, but you can use this Business Source Premier. If you click here, it will ask you to log in, because we all are now working remotely. If you are on campus, you don't need to log in. You are on Sacred Hearts network. But if it asks you to log in, just use your shoe credentials. And then here, use the term. For example, corporate governance. I know one of the group, I don't know if the members are here, they are doing corporate governance, but they are narrowing it down into SOX. And they are checking the impact of SOX on accounting fraud, whether SOX is successful or not to prevent accounting fraud. So just use some keywords, SOX, right? And SOX Act has different articles or different type of regulations, but just use a general SOX, and then you can write it down if you want to know about accounting fraud. You see, they will show major keywords. Now, if you do a regular search, that will bring thousands of millions of articles wherever they will find these terms. SOX, accounting fraud. Now you need to narrow it down. So we really want to be very concrete, very focused. That means accounting fraud, this is our focus. What if it should be in our abstract? The most convenient ways to use these keywords are in their abstract. Sometimes you can check whether the keywords are in the title of the article, but it's risky because sometimes authors can use a different title or may not use all those keywords or key research issues in their title. So you can use author supplied keywords or abstract. So now if I do this, that means I'm searching the articles where SOX and accounting fraud, these two terms are in their abstract. That means those will be very close to my research question, and those will be very useful to look at it. Now, if you do this search, you narrowed it down and then you found not bad 17 articles. Right. So now here you can read those articles, and then you don't need to read the entire thing thoroughly. Maybe you can just focus on only the abstract, and if you are interested, then maybe you can focus on the introduction part. So most of the articles here, if you go through the library website, it will have the PDF version. You can download it, then just take a look at the abstract. Right, compensation committee, pay attention to section 404. Section 404 is one of the provision of SOX. Compensation committee is talking about the committee on board of director. Right, so it's actually when you are doing this type of search and trying to figure out the articles, it's another way of learning. I know you may not understand all those terms. Don't worry about the technical part. How did they do the research? Just focus on what they found. So you will see this is an a standard article should look like. So basically, you will see for every article, they have their they have their key findings, right? So this is their findings. Our results suggest the importance of including directors with financial experts on compensation committee. That means whatever that they did, qualitative research survey, quantitative, using the data, they found that they should have financial expertise on their compensation committee or board of director. Then the SOX will be very effective. So now this is the standard way. When you are will be reading the articles or abstract, you see the abstract is too short, only one small paragraph, maybe 200-300 words, but it started with the key research idea and it ends with your findings. So you will get the pattern of your writing. So I would suggest don't just start writing, read at least like 5 articles, abstract and introduction, then you will get some idea. And of course, you need to do a search either using Google Scholar or using this library website. Now let's see. So, any questions so far? No question? So everyone is here, right? Okay, so now I'll show you citation. So some of you mentioned that how you will be doing this citation. So citation means that what others are talking about and how we are coding them. So I would say, don't just use a quotation mark and copy and paste the whole thing. Rather, try to paraphrase their findings, and when you will be mentioning any specific findings, you have to look at the author's last name. For example, we were looking at these articles from one of the sources. They have two authors, so just write it down, Shu and Liao, and then check what is the publication year. They published this paper in 2012. So write down the author's name, last name, A and B, and then within bracket write down the publication years. Or if you see you have more than two authors, three or four authors, so just take the last name of the five authors, or whatever the number of the authors, just take the last name of the first authors and then write ETAL, etal. That means they have more authors. So I can show something what they did. For example, so you see here, they use these as internal control effectiveness is positively associated with the quality of financial reporting. They are quoting it from another author's paper. So what they did, they actually, that paper must have more than two authors. So they did the last name of the first authors, then etal, then a comma, and the year of the publication. Or this year you can put it also within bracket. The different journals have different styles. Here is another example. They cited from another author, and they have two authors, Croker and Flamroad. So two authors, just use their last name within bracket. One author, Holmstrom, 1979. Right. So if you have one author, use the last name. Two authors, use both of their last name and then the year. More than two authors, just first author's last name and then et al. And then I would suggest here, please go here. You have, of course, you will watch this video, and then you have another video citation, and you again need to use your library login credentials, and then you will see how you have to cite doing the APA style. It's only a couple of minutes video, so I would suggest only 4 minutes video. Please watch the video. So you see they said you have to write down the author's name and the year of the publication. So if you watch the video, it will show you how to quote within the text and how to do the citation part at the end. This is one important part of your learning. So please be formal here. Don't just copy and paste the link at the end of your citations. So this is how you're gonna use the library resources, and you will do your citation and we follow the APA style. And then here we will do another video, and I would request you, I'm not showing it, this is the plagiarism video, so please watch that one. So just to make sure that you are not directly copying it from other papers. Of course you will cite but paraphrase it. Even within quotation mark is not appropriate, paraphrase it and give the credits, right? Other than that, it is actually not appropriate to cut and paste or copy and paste from different resources, even from websites or Wikipedia. Just try to do it in your own way, use your own words. So let's see if you have any question. Any questions so far? Yes, no, very good. So let me check with you. So how many of you already started and made some progress? Where are you now? Can you type in the box? Just say, okay, Mary, Katie, and you already started. Very good. And then who else? And the rest of you didn't do anything, or 10%, 50%, 0%? Where are you now? Well, you have 1 week. You have 1 week, but you should have some progress by that time. Okay, Dylan, very good. Yeah, you just started. At least you started. So make sure you utilize this week. And of course, the most important part is to do a group coordination. Now, I will just go over the research topics that you already selected, or you if you are still struggling to figure it out, or if you have any question. I know most of you send me the research questions, and I gave you some suggestions, some idea how you could modify the research question or research issue. But I just want to see if you have any question. George, you are doing corporate governance, right? George is here. George, are you listening? Are you hearing me? Yes. Okay, so I sent an email to Valerie yesterday, and I forgot to CC everyone, and then he had some questions, and I clarified that one. So please focus on the part. If you have any other group member today here, it's not like you selected socks, but it's not just the advantage and disadvantage of socks. You have to prove whether socks is effective or not to protect the accounting fraud. And of course, several articles will give you the support. So if you need any help to find out the research articles, then please let me know. I can send you the link or I can download it. Okay, so let's see who else. Our another group is here. I already had a meeting with group number 2 yesterday. They're doing good. I checked their progress, merger and acquisition, and let's see, Dylan. Uh, so you are doing merger and acquisition, right? So oh, what is your research question or how you are progressing it? You just started, I know. Or do you have any question? You can talk if you want. So again, those who are doing merger and acquisition, you can make it a case specific, right? So whether it's a successful, I know your group is doing the successful and failed acquisitions. So when you're gonna do, you can pick some very successful merger cases or some only 2 or 3 failed acquisitions, and then try to analyze. But at the same time, see what are the researchers are finding. They have there are several articles that are talking about these acquisitions are successful. What are the reasons for that? Is it the economic reasons or kind of cultural issue? So what are the main reasons that a merger will be successful or a merger actually will not work out? So of course you can do a case specific, that would be interesting, but at the end, you will also justify with the real world case, with what the researchers are discussing and what is already documented in the academic literature. Then you will find your perception, for example, Amazon and Whole Food merger, or take some other mergers, and then you can analyze what is already in the literature. So let's see, I'm just checking it from here. I don't see anyone from this group. Mike, David, Matt, IFRS. Okay, US GAAP and IFRS. So few of you are here. So how are you working on that, Mary? Or do you have any questions? So it's not like, definitely we have a chapter IFRS and US GAAP. So the group that you are working, I would not expect that you will just copy paste from the textbook. Well, the textbook was talking about the history, the differences, of course, a little about the convergence process, but I would expect something beyond the textbook. So, Mary, do you or your groupmate, do you have any question and how you are approaching? What is the issue, US GAAP and IFRS? Okay. Okay, I can see your message. Yes. Um, Yeah, so I would suggest, of course, you can start with the textbook. Okay, thank you for your message, Mary. That is a good starting point, right? So if you see chapter 11, you will get a great idea. But I would suggest you when you emailed me, so your group or some of you actually emailed the questions, and then basically I would suggest be specific, focus on couple of areas, major differences, and then just think of it whether it is possible to eliminate those differences. And if we want to do that, what are the obstacles, what are the difficulties that we cannot remove the differences, or what would be the advantages, whether we'll be able to remove those differences. So definitely you can focus on specific difference. So if you see the exhibit we had, yes, removing the difference and converging is very good. Yes, but if you see the exhibit in our textbook, it has like 20 differences, right? So just pick major three or four differences and then discuss whether it is possible to converge. So, what would be the pros and cons, or what would be the possibilities or difficulties, and whether we will be able to make those convergence based on those differences. Now, Mary and your group, when you're going to do the article search for the literature review, right, you may not find some specific articles related to those differences, right? Because you are looking at specific difference. One is using FIFO, one is using LIFO, or pension, or depreciation, what we learn, but you can just cite in your literature review part some general articles that are talking about the convergence and that are talking about those differences. So when you will be doing your literature review part and when you will be searching the articles either using the Google Scholar or library resource. So just use this term IFRS and gap difference or IFRS gap convergence and cite at least 4 or 5 papers that are talking about overall convergence success or talking about overall whether it would be possible to reduce or eliminate those differences or not. And then you will narrow down your focus and will talk about few specific differences and then whether it will be successful or not, pros, cons, advantage, disadvantage. That could be a good move when you will proceed on your paper. So then I see that Mary's group is group number 4. Yes, 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 please. Yes, Mary, thanks for your. Yeah, so articles overall general difference and cite those, please. Now let's see who else next. I have another group here. Rebecca is here, and Catherine is here. Dylan is here again. Reasons behind failed and successful M&As. So I just discussed that you can pick some recent merger and acquisition cases. That would be fantastic. 3 successful merger, 3 failed merger. Don't pick like very recent because whether a merger is successful or not, it takes a little bit of time to see that. And then at the same time, do some literature search and figure it out the overall general reasons for successful and failed merger. So when you will do your scholarly literature, don't forget to cite 3 to 5 papers that are talking about general reasons. Okay, so okay, very good. Yes, I'll be there, Tom. Yes, I'll be there. Your topic is corporate social responsibility. So yeah, so here merger and acquisition, pick some recent cases, but at the same time, you have to cite from other articles. Other articles, published articles that are discussing about those success and failure of acquisitions in general, then definitely you can relate with your specific case. If you pick like Walgreens and Rite Aid or CVS and Aetna, but those are very recent merger. So if you go back and pick some old merger, Disney and Pixar, very successful merger, or Chrysler and Daimler Automobile, a failed merger. So if you pick some old cases, you will have more information, but don't forget to connect those cases with your literature. Now I'll talk about Tom's group, corporate social responsibility, and Tom, you can discuss with your other group mates. All right. So uh, they have to or they do to give back. Okay. So yeah. So definitely this is a good question, right? And Tom and everyone, we didn't learn it here in our textbook, corporate social responsibilities, but it is an important issue for the real world, for the whole world. And there are several theories that are talking about why actually do corporations practice this CSR or corporate social responsibility. What are the reasons? They just have to do it? Is it peer pressures because all their competitors are doing this? Or is it they are very good, they are ethical, it's their moral obligations? Or is it they are using those corporate social responsibility tools just to maximize their profit? They are using those CSR or they are showing all those socially responsible behavior and they are pretending to be good, but their main objective is to make profit doing all these things. So Tom, this is actually a very crucial question and researchers are still struggling to find out the answers. Right? Why do corporations are doing it? Right. So definitely that would be a good question. And you will find hundreds of papers that are talking about it. So looks like your group is focusing on two phases. First is why, and second is how. That means why they are socially responsible. Is it like they are legally bound to it? Is it like peer pressure? Is it like they are very ethical, moral, they feel bad for the society? That's why they are contributing for the community, for environment, right? Or is it they are making profit using those as kind of promotional tool? This is one phase. Another phase is that how successful they are. So corporations can take different social responsibility projects, but at the end, the question is whether these are successful projects or not. So now, Tom, you have to be careful. How do you define the success? Is it like, okay, my this year's my project is to reduce carbon emissions for my company, right? So now at the end of the year, you can check whether you are able to reduce your emissions. So then you can define we are successful. We wanted to reduce 5% emissions and we did it. Then it's successful. But there are another ways to measure the success. When you are doing all those corporate social responsible or CSR projects, at the end, what are the returns? Whether those are impacting on your profit or stock market return, stock prices. So we all know that if companies sometimes they do something bad and right away their stock price will suffer. Right. If companies are engaged with some scandals, definitely you will see that that will affect their stock price. So now your second part is how successful are corporations with their social responsibility project. When you're gonna explain, so try to define what do you mean by success. Is it their own aim or goal, or they want to measure it in terms of return, like in terms of profitability, or how stock market is perceiving those? Then you can explain whether the corporate responsibility projects are successful or not. Again, you can do kind of a general discussions, or you could pick some specific company, or you could combine both. But definitely you will find several research articles if you just search either with Google Scholar or library resources. So now I have I have another team. Okay, thank you, Tom. Next team is accounting conservatism. I see Kiara is here, and you have few other members, Jordan, Sabana, and Sabrina. So I see only Kiara, but I think you can share with your group members. So Kiara, do you have any question that you decided about your project? Conservatism is a difficult topic, so I'll give you a brief idea. We didn't learn it, but this is very important. We probably have heard this term here and there, and especially when we had our lectures. So accounting conservatism. What do you mean by that? So if you remember from your first exam, we did goodwill impairment, right? You remember goodwill impairment. You have to check fair value is going up or down. If you see fair value of your subsidiary went down and how much goodwill you recorded, what is the implied value of the goodwill. So we always want to show lower value of assets on our book. So if you see that our goodwill is overstated, we need to reduce that. So why do we do that? Just as a precaution, just to be on safe side. Right. Because if you overstate your assets, if you overstate your earnings, then at any point the actual numbers may reveal or you may not be able to continue with those numbers, the sustain with all those overstated numbers, and then at any point when stockholders or external users will detect that you are overstating those numbers and now you fail to continue that, and definitely that will impact on your stock price, that will impact on your financial statements overall reporting quality. So that's why just always stay on safe side, right? So that's why accounting conservatism will tell you that be conservative, understate your assets, understate your earnings. But if you have any contingent liabilities or any expense, those you overstate. Because I'm very cautious, I'm very conservative. If I have to measure any expense or cost, then measure or overstate it or maximize it, whatever it is rational. But if I need to measure any potential revenue or the value of any asset, then I will be very, very careful. Right? Because if you overstate means like following aggressive accounting, you cannot maintain this aggressive accounting for a long time. Today or tomorrow, it will reveal all those real numbers and it will have a great impact. Of course, adverse impact on your financial statements. Now, first, Kiara, and you can convey to your other group members that I would suggest try to understand what do you mean by accounting conservatism, and then you can discuss at least a couple of items. What are the ways companies can be conservative? One of the thing we probably discussed, um, inventory valuation, lower of cost or market, right? LCM. If you remember, when you follow gap, at the end of the year you have to check what is the value of the inventory, and then you have to compare the market value and the cost value, and you always need to report the inventory as per the lower value, right? If you see this market value went down, so definitely you have to reduce the inventory value, you have to write off the inventory, right? We cannot just show some overstated inventory values. So this is one example, goodwill impairment another example. So if you can figure it out, couple of examples, then that would be good for you. Or you can also discuss on a relationship between accounting conservatism and earnings management or accounting fraud. Because when you are conservative, there is less likely that those companies or those accountants or managers will be engaged in any fraud. But if you follow aggressive accounting, aggressive numbers like Enron issue, you all know Enron or WorldCom, right? So they were not conservative. They always followed aggressive accounting, and at some point, to cover up all those numbers, they have to be engaged in manipulation and fraud. So now you can think of it, what are the different examples of conservatisms and what would be the impact of your conservative accounting on your financial reporting quality. So there are several papers in terms of accounting conservatism. I understand, Kiara, it's a tricky topic, and we didn't discuss much. We didn't have any chapter in our textbook, but definitely, if you try to figure out some research articles, you will get some idea, and that would be useful for you. So here I kind of discussed the overall topics and research projects. So now I would suggest if you have any question and answer so far. No question, everyone is good. I know many of you just started, but again, I will recap that don't forget about the format. So I'll just look at all these points here that we did here, that you covered everything. Minimum 10 double space pages. Make sure you have 3 to 5 research articles, citations. You follow the APA style, and you use all those library resources, or at least use Google Scholars when you're gonna find out your articles. So, any more questions? So if not, then I think, yeah, that's it. I just wanted to show you how to use the library resource and overall what I'm expecting. And so far, I'm glad that the semester is ending well, and you have the last week of your regular classes, or maybe only a few more days. Then I would suggest, please again, do your group member evaluation, and once you are done, upload that one, and only one from each group just email me the final paper. And I recorded this session, so I'll save it. I'll upload that one on Blackboard in case any of your group members need to hear anything, get some idea. Definitely they can. And I'll be available to schedule office hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, anytime. Just send me an email if you need to talk to me. I'll set up WebEx meeting again. Sounds good, everyone? Yes, no?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for giving me a good semester. Although I missed you, everyone, we didn't get chance to see. And just one request, you probably received your course evaluation. So whenever you get a minute, just do the evaluation. But I'll be here anytime. Okay, everyone, just email me anytime. Okay?
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. And everyone stay safe. Few more days, please. Few more days. Stay safe, eat healthy, have rest, have some rest, proper sleep, and end this semester well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay, bye.